Hello and welcome everyone to yet another Be Waste Wise webinar this month. As most of you all know, I'm Akanksha Singh. I'm the community builder at Be Waste Wise. And as you all know that we've been organizing such waste dialogues on monthly basis, addressing the need for knowledge dissemination on waste management since 2013. We are a non-profit organization and we have been bridging this waste solutions expertise gap worldwide for over a decade now. And if you see the value in making such diverse sustainability dialogues free of charge to anyone and everyone, then we request you all to please support us in our mission. We'll be sharing our donation page link on your chat as well. Moving on today's topic of discussion, we are holding this webinar on a very topical topic on practical solutions to plastic pollution challenges across the African continent. This session will discuss the circular business models and existing case studies for plastic waste management. And the conversation with our very, experienced panel here will center around clear, actionable strategies to manage plastic sustainability in African context. To moderate this session, we have with us Aliu Umar Sadiq. Aliu is an environment and development professional with over half a decade of experience in developing and advocating for climate, waste management, and circular solutions. He's currently a graduate student under the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, where he's furthering his knowledge on circular economy and environmental policy across Europe and the United Kingdom. Alu has successfully led the implementation of continent wide climate action, social empowerment, and circular economy related projects across Africa. With him, we have on the panel today Madam Falmata Bukar Kolo. She is a Deputy Director of the Solid Waste Management and Technology Division at the Federal Ministry of Environment, Nigeria. She has played a leading role in advancing Nigeria's sustainable efforts, contributing to the development of the national policies on solid waste management and plastic waste management, the Nigerian Circular Economy Roadmap, the National Plastic Roadmap, and so on. She is passionate about promoting innovative, technology driven approaches to waste management and is committed to supporting Nigeria's transition towards a more circular and sustainable economy. Thank you so much for taking time out, ma'am. We have Blessing Eva also, on the other hand. She is a passionate climate advocate and a youth and community empowerment expert dedicated to inspiring a new generation of change makers. As a West Africa coordinator for Net Zero as soon as possible, Blessing works with businesses across Africa to promote sustainability and environmental responsibility. As the founder of YASIF Nigeria, Blessing has empowered over 2,500 women and youths to take action against climate change, resulting in the removal and upcycling of over 6 tons of plastic waste and also the empowerment of over 13,000 youths on attaining digital skills. This is commendable, and we are very fortunate to have this panel on the board. Now, before we proceed to this discussion, I would like to make few announcements. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded on our website and YouTube channel. Please use the Q&A function for your questions to the panel and use the chat function separately for your views and opinions and some reports and insights related to the topic from your region so that we all can learn and collaborate on this. We'll be sharing the panelist LinkedIn profiles in the function as well for you to connect with them personally. So back to the panel and over to you, Alu.
Thank you, Akanksha, for having us, and I'm so delighted to be part of this amazing panelists who are really experts in the field of plastic waste. I'm excited that this conversation is happening right now because the INC 5.2 was just concluded recently. Before we get into the conversation to hear from our amazing speakers, I'd just like to get your opinions through a very quick poll, your opinion on this particular one aspect of this conversation. So Akanksha, you can upload this poll. And this is the question: which do you think is the biggest challenge in plastic recycling in Africa? Feel free to share your thoughts. Let's see where some of the major challenges are based on your opinions. That will be very useful in driving the conversation. And we know we have lots of experts, researchers, experienced professionals. So yeah, please feel free to just click and then let's see. Aha, lack of technology, chemical exposure going up, also poor waste management, poor segregation also now taking the lead. Let's give it maybe a few more seconds before we wrap up. So please just click if you haven't clicked. Let's see your opinion. Lack of technology for safe recycling, poor segregation, and okay, so our results show lack of technology for safe recycling as the major challenge. And then the second is poor waste segregation and chemical exposure. So these are basically like the highlights from what we can see in the poll. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think Akisha, you can, um, okay, yep. Okay. So just to ride on to the conversation, we will be hearing, like I said earlier, I'm glad we have like, it's a blend of experts in the government and also we have experts in terms of practice in the field, Madam Fromata and Blessing. And just to, I would begin with Madam Folmata and the issue of toxicity in plastic recycling. We can see that Nigeria has adopted the EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility. And so basically, this is holding producers accountable. And the implication is this is pointing towards more recovery and more recycling. And yeah, globally, we've seen that recycling is taking the lead in the conversation on circular economy, which is still an issue. But the issue we're even looking at the moment is the process of recycling, which has a lot of chemical toxicity in the production of plastic itself. Like there's a whole issue of toxic of concern, persistent organic pollutants, and these stay for decades across the plastic life cycle. And so perhaps even if we have like recycling happening currently, we have about 12% maybe, but the rate is still low. But we're looking at seeing this recycling rates increase. But the issue of chemicals and the toxicity across this recycling, and this takes me to Madam Formata. You've been working with the governments, developing a lot of policies. How best do you think the issue of chemicals across the plastic life cycle and recycling value chain can be addressed? And maybe if there are some existing strategies or best practices, we'll be happy to hear from you. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here. Nigeria is a developing country. Unfortunately, we have weak waste management systems. So when it comes to chemical exposure, we have toxic chemicals being released during recycling processes. Chemicals like dioxins, furans, phthalates, and they cause a lot of harm. So you find that the workers are also exposed in the recycling facilities or when we have open burning, which is a common practice here at the dump sites because of the poor waste management systems that we have. So you find that these workers, and especially you find them the waste pickers, they are the ones mostly affected because they're exposed to the chemicals through inhalation, skin contact, ingestion. And sometimes these chemicals also, they leach into the soil, they're in the waters, the air, and they pose severe poisoning and environmental and health risks. Now, the issue of awareness, because most of the time we don't have proper awareness. The waste management systems, they're not as it's supposed to be. And you find that not only at the dump sites, but even the production, because a lot of chemicals, the plastics, they are made with harmful additives. So just using them at home in the microwave, washing them, or at the recycling facilities where you pelletize them, they also release all these harmful chemicals. And of course, they are dangerous and harmful to both the environment and human health. They affect, some of them can cause cancer, reproductive issues, neurological effects, respiratory issues, so many. And many of these additives that are inside, like I said, can leach out. Many of the hazardous additives can leach out out of the plastic products. Like I said, contaminating the air, the water, and then eventually entering the food chain through ingestion. Now, the informal recyclers, the sorters, the women, the youth, the communities near open burning sites, they are the most vulnerable. Those handling plastics, so you have different types of plastics. And like I earlier said, the shredding and washing of plastics can also release microplastics into the environment, which, of course, inhaled and ingested also can cause gastrointestinal problems. We have pyrolysis, converting plastic into petrochemical feedstock. It can also generate contaminants and greenhouse gas emissions. So these are the ways that you find that we can come in contact with chemicals from plastics.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much for highlighting those extensive points on, all of these processes of recycling. And most of these are considered technologies, innovative technologies, but we can see that they have like a lot of implication in, and this actually even from the production itself, these chemicals that are used like additives, but also just it's good to know, like now to know that you with the government and there are lots of policies that have been enacted by Nigeria, like for example, National Policy on Plastic Waste Management. We have like the circular economy roadmap and all of that. Just to ask, in terms of what the government is doing with recycling companies or recycling initiatives, either policies or programs, are there like specific measures to kind of contain this chemical exposure, either in terms of restrictions or limits or some regulations, and what's the level of compliance by these Nigerian recycling companies?
Okay, well, earlier on you mentioned the EPR program, which we have implemented. Some organizations are already establishing that, the Food and Beverage Recycling Agency. We have the E-Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Nigeria. Yes, the thing is, sometimes you have these, enforcement is the problem sometimes, you have enforcing them is a problem because change is difficult, but we have put in place, we have NESRIA, an agency of the ministry, which has put in place this, the implementation of the EPR, so that we have so that the producers are responsible. It's not only the consumers, but the producers should also be held accountable for producing and getting plastics into the environment. As a ministry, we have waste to wealth entrepreneurship programs we have done to empower the most vulnerable, especially the youth and women, where we encourage them to boost recycling. They're given some incentives and they're trained, just on small recycling, so that they, apart from, having an income, they're also protecting and taking care of our environment and also their health. We have ongoing projects, sustainable plastic value chain through the circular economy practices that we're doing in partnership with UNIDO and the government of Japan. Like you mentioned, we have the National Policy on Solid Waste Management, the National Policy on Plastic Waste Management, and we have some guidelines that we have in partnership with UNIDO. So we are doing a bit. We've developed the National Circular Economy Roadmap, We have also have the National Action Roadmap for Plastics in collaboration with the Nigerian National Plastic Action Partnership, NPAP. And currently the federal government has banned the single use of plastics. That was done last year, about in August. Now we've had, it's now been extended to the MDAs, that's the ministries, departments and agencies. Implementation guidelines have been developed and the MDAs have been sensitized towards the implementation of the ban. Several agencies are implementing. It's still slow, but it's still a work in progress, but it's still hopeful. We also have community-based waste management programs that encourage the involvement of the local communities in modern waste management, recycling options, and as well as ownership of projects.
Wow, wow. It's I would say I'm also like part of like some of the empowerment program that the ministry is doing, because like in 2020, 2023, 2022, I know like we're doing like supported by the Ministry of Environment Pollution Control Department, like lots of empowerment across like 6 geopolitical zones. So
Yes, exactly.
a lot of engagement have been ongoing. And I think like the point you mentioned, the issue of enforcement and like adoption by these organizations, because like we have a lot of recycling companies that are springing up. Some of them do it for business, some of them do it because they're environmentally conscious, but a lot of
Exactly.
times they do not really take full consideration of the health exposure. And you might even see not just the direct workers, exposed to these due to like lack of PPEs, but the whole
Yes.
exposure. And this is I think but maybe I'm sure like the audience also have a lot of experience on all of this. We have maybe some recyclers. Please feel free to drop your own points, experiences, and maybe some best practices that you have adopted in your recycling companies on the chat box. But just to maybe, okay, just to ask just one concern before we move over to our um, ground practitioner, Blessing Ewa. Um, with this gap in implementation, but with these really good existing policies, what do you think, or how best do you think this can be enforced more so that more recycling companies adopt or implement adopt these policies, and we have like less health exposure due to these contaminants?
I think we need to strengthen our penalties. Enforcement laws are really inconsistent. We have to introduce, like you just said, PPE for collection, for recycling, and government really can't do this alone. It would be good if you have, PPPs, to collaborate. We need to upgrade our dump sites into sanitary landfills, because the dump sites are the norm. When you have a rapid urbanization and population growth like we do in Nigeria, more people create more waste, and the disposal and recycling systems are not expanding at the same rate. So also the insufficient infrastructure. So government can't do it alone, but we have to also, I think one major issue is the low public awareness. Many Nigerians are not aware of the environmental and health impacts of poor waste management. The dump sites and the drains those are where most people just, throw their dirt, their waste. You're walking along the streets, there are no provisions for trash cans, so the best option is just to dump it on the road. We need to change our behavior. It might take some time, but it's possible. We also need to be able to provide options. For example, the ban. you're banning the use of single-use plastics. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I come with my water bottle to the office. I come with a water bottle. If I'm going to need more than that, then what do I do? So we have to have maybe dispensers around so that people can refill, get into the habit of going around with your water bottle. I mean, I always have mine. And so changing that, but then you have to have alternatives. People will change if there are alternatives that are also available and affordable. So that's an issue that we have. And so people really do not want to change, but they can if they're provided with the right tools.
Oh wow. Yeah, you really hit on like the major issues and the way to go. Yeah, so please feel free to drop your questions on the Q&A. Our amazing speakers, panelists are here to respond to like these queries, and also feel free to use the chat box to drop your experiences, your recommendations, your best practices. So just to move on to like the other part now, we've really seen, the policy angle, the challenges and the implementation issues. We are going to like move towards now the practice, and this is coming from the angle of much more like circular business approaches for managing plastics, whereby perhaps recycling itself, it's not the entire solution. Maybe what other ways can we utilize these plastics for livelihood and socioeconomic benefit, for community empowerment? And we have an amazing practitioner, Blessing Ewa, who has been doing a lot of women empowerment initiatives, and we'll be happy to hear some parts of this discussion towards toxicity, to sustainable management of plastic. So Blessing Ewa, can you please feel free to share some better approaches for managing plastics from a community perspective and based on your experience?
Thank you so much, Aliyu, and hi everyone. First, I want to thank Madam Formata for that great insight, especially coming from the policy angle and how much government is doing to ensure plastic sustainability. Thank you so much, ma'am. So from our end, what we have been doing as an organization is to see how we can keep plastics in circulation. So we have applied a lot of approaches, some of which is plastic recycling, where we get to upcycle some plastic materials. So we
Yeah.
train
So,
communities.
just to highlight, Blessing, maybe can you just raise your voice a little so we could?
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
to confirm, can you hear me now?
Yeah, not so much, but I guess if you go closer to the laptop, maybe we could hear you, or
Sorry
your
about that.
volume.
Okay. I want to believe you can hear me now better.
Yeah, better.
Okay, I think I'll just keep my voice high. Uh, so just to proceed, I would beg uh, Akancha now to help me share the slide if you have it within your disposal, if that's fine. Thank you so much. So for we at YASIV is Young Advocates for a Sustainable and Inclusive Future. What we have done is we empower communities because we looked at rural communities, especially rural and peri-urban areas, as the most vulnerable when it comes to the impact of plastic pollution. And for us, we thought that it is important for us to create that sensitization to enable them understand the dangers around plastic pollution and the role they can play as a community or as communities to ensure that they mitigate some of this impact. What we do is we help them understand that there is something they can do, despite the fact that the government is there to assist, that they as a community can take responsibility to ensure that they promote environmental sustainability within their own abilities. So what we do is we bring about various initiatives that are very cost effective, environmental friendly, such that one that they can apply within their means to help promote plastic sustainability, reduce plastic pollution as much as they can. Next slide, please. So I'm going to be sharing some of the circular approaches that we have applied and then we have seen it yield fruits. One of it is we have trained women and youths to transform plastic to various upcycled products like bags, foodwares, bodywears, furnitures, and interior decoration. And the approach that we use has been environmental friendly because we do not engage, we do not like recycle these plastics. What they do is they manually upcycle this plastic, what you may want to call repurpose. So they repurpose it and make very beautiful things from these plastic materials, what they originally perceived to be waste. We help them understand that this is not only waste, but it can be something useful. And that is their own contribution to promoting environmental sustainability if they can learn to repurpose some of the plastics that they generate or some of the plastic waste that come up from their daily activities. These upcycle process have been safe for the communities. What they do is that they manually shred these plastics. They have like manual uh, uh, um, knitting processes that they apply, like using looms, weaving the plastic, turning it into threads, weaving it into materials where they sew it into bags, making shoes out of it. And before I proceed, let me also commend the work that EcoCycle Development Foundation is doing because we have been working together on this. What they do also is they train. I think we have used them to also train some. We have worked with them to train some of our community members where they use these plastic bottles, to build house, have walls without necessarily passing it through any chemical processes or trying to melt it. So these are some of the sustainable ways or approaches that communities or other individuals or sectors can repurpose plastics and limit the emissions, probably complications that may come with recycling. Our models have not only created awareness or impacted communities, but it has also helped to build livelihood opportunities, especially for rural women who do not have um, any source of livelihood, who probably are depending on their husbands and all, and some who have not been able to send their children to schools. We have used this approach or these models to create business opportunities for them, where they turn waste into useful products, sell it, and then they make money out of it. And currently, as I'm sharing with you, we have women in the communities that have started selling their products, their bags, their purses, the shoes that they have made. Some made very beautiful hats, for men, and they are happy doing what they do. And the beautiful part about this is it wasn't easy for us to bring about that behavioral change because we also brought the economic opportunities that comes with that. So the community was have been able to buy into this model. They are happy to take it up from there. And for sustainability purposes, they are working on their own. And I mean, if you go back to those communities, it's very difficult seeing plastic flying around because to them now, that is a very good raw material for the work that they are doing. And I would say that that really is a success story as to how we can reduce environmental degradation from repurposing plastics through upcycling. And we believe that with these approaches or whatever they are doing, they tend to reduce the rate at which they get new plastics. Like we also help them to repurpose their plastic bags. They don't have to get new bags. They could also use it for something else. Reduce the rate at which they propose the purchase of primary plastic materials to reduce the plastic pollution or open dumping, which is usually the case of communities because most of them don't have good uh, um, um, waste collection sites. So the results to open dumping, which has really been a problem over the years. I'm sorry, next slide, please. For the models, the approaches that we have applied, it has resulted to some good success stories that I'm happy to share with you. One of it is we've been able to evacuate over 6 tons of plastics, and we've done this across communities in around like 4 states now. And then we have over 2,500 women that have been trained, and we have about 250 women who are now doing their own personal businesses selling their materials or whatever it is they make from repurposing plastics, which has also created livelihood opportunities. We have very amazing feedbacks of women saying that they now send their children to good schools because they are able to generate some income from this work that they are doing. So they are not only keeping the environment from pollution, but they've also found a business or a niche where they can easily adopt. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's very cost effective. They don't need some form of capital to start this up. All they need to know is how they can repurpose these plastics that they generate and make something good out of it. And we have also uh, uh, um, helped integrate like 3 community-based and community-led recycling hubs that are actually that have paving way for reducing plastic pollution because they are making use of this knowledge that they have gained to repurpose the plastics that they generate within their communities to ensure that they're able to keep the environment, let's say, clean, and then help keep plastics in circulation as much as they can. And which is, I feel like, is their own little way of contributing to environmental sustainability and, of course, the country's agenda, the global agenda of reducing plastic pollution. So our next step is to scale these models across as many many communities as possible to see how we can get everyone, especially rural communities, to work to contribute their own quota to see that they are doing their very best to reduce plastic pollution as much as they can, even while they begin to identify livelihood opportunities within this niche. Sorry, next slide. Okay, of course, these things do not come without, its own challenges. We've recorded challenges from these women. Not some of these women are not able to market their products because, like the bags are made from plastics, they take it to the market and people don't buy. One way we have been able to mitigate that issue is for every community we train, we link them with recycling agencies who understand the markets better. So for some communities, like the community in Karamajiji, when they make their products, they sell it to the recycling agency called EcoBata. So EcoBata buy these things from them as well, and then they pay them money. And so the women can now use this money to, you know, generate income for their families. And then we also link them to other agencies or recycling agencies that understand how the market works and how they can get these products out there, so that the community don't stress themselves in marketing these products. We have also tried to provide as much knowledge as possible as to how they can get their products in the market, and then see how they can actually make good of the work that they are doing so they don't get worried at some point. And also we have issues with awareness gaps because when we go to new communities we realize that they have not really heard about how to minimize plastic pollution through plastic upcycling or repurposing the plastic waste that they generate. One thing that we are doing now is for every new community we visit, we do what we call a sensitization program, helping them understand how they can repurpose plastics and helping them also understand it's a very cost-effective way of doing it. We try to work with the community gatekeepers to ensure that they keep that going even while we live so that the whole process is sustainable. And then we'll probably, of course, have issues of funding, resources, and tools. And that is why we have actually built on maybe working with grants and then collaborations and partnership, which is one of our very strongest approach. Like I mentioned from the beginning, that we've been working strongly with EcoCycle Development Foundation. And because of that, as a result of such collaborations and partnerships, we've reached more women and more communities. And it's a very good way of mitigating some of these issues with limited resources. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I'm very happy to take questions. And so this is not the only model, but this is what we have actually put into practice. And I also look forward to hearing some of your own models and what you've been able to do with the plastics within your reach. Thank you.
Thank you, Blessing, for bringing this from a much more community approach perspective, towards mitigating plastics and with less toxicity and less health hazard. So many questions are coming to my mind. Should EPR fund more of recycling initiative or more of upcycling initiative? What's the volume in terms of what like these upcycling programs can address? Is it complementary to the pollution, like the plastic pollution we have in Nigeria? Or should we have like a much more holistic system that have like recycling but less toxicity, upcycling, so that there's this kind of a much more sustainable approach. But we have a very quick poll. I was going to ask this earlier. I think I didn't, but I think it's going to be very relevant, just to get the audience view on what you think about sustainable upcycling. So please, Akanksha, yeah. So please, our distinguished audience, feel free to make a point. I'm sure a lot of you are working on different sector. Do you believe circular business models can significantly reduce plastic pollution in Africa? Especially, you can see the approach of like livelihood, job creation, economic empowerment, and obviously lesser pollution, lesser chemical contamination. Yeah, just feel free to click so that we could move quickly to like Q&A. I'm not seeing so much responses. Just click, let's see your opinion, your options, based on your experience, based on Blessings discussion. It's not moving. I don't know if it's my eyes or okay. So I think generally it's like
I
yes,
think I'll
if
initiate the
supported.
poll again. People are saying that it has disappeared. So let me just check if,
Okay, okay, yeah, I guess
you
okay.
know.
Okay, so we would just wait for that. But I think, oh, the poll has disappeared. Okay, we would just discuss while it comes back. There are some questions coming up on the chat box, and I think they're very important. I would try to ask Madam
Maybe the
Falmata
poll
from the.
has started. So can you see that? I
No, no,
think,
no, no. No, we cannot see the poll.
oh, okay, because audiences are
I
able
can
to,
see the poll.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I,
actually cannot see it.
the audiences are adding in the poll. Yeah, they are voting. You cannot see?
I can't see, but
You
it's
can't see.
okay.
I just hope you can see the results. Otherwise, I'll announce the results.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, just a quick one so that we just quickly go to. There are lots of interesting questions, and I know Madam Falmata would soon be leaving due to another issue, so I will try to do that quickly. Yeah, so just share your opinion, share your experiences, and what you think. Okay, it's
Can you?
back now. Yeah, I can see it. Also, a lot of responses say yes, it's supported if supported by policy and investment. And I'm glad we have the government here to see that they're already doing a lot of this initiative as well. And then some say maybe okay. So I guess the good audience have the confidence that circular business models can address plastic pollution. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we could end the poll now. Um, okay, so some questions came up earlier. I would just like to ask them quickly. And I think one of it was given the accelerated accumulation of microplastics, how close are we? This is more of like from a global perspective, how close are we to global critical threshold where microplastic become irreversible? Like basically the question is what frameworks are in place in the case whereby microplastics are inevitable, are there ongoing policy efforts to kind of particularly deal with microplastics? Maybe to Madam Falmata. We can't hear you. I think your mic is mute. Hello, Madam Falmata. Okay, I guess there's a network glitch, so maybe I'll just okay, yeah, I think there's a network glitch. Sorry for that. So I'll just check for the next and the next question is about this is also about plastic ban. Okay, okay, welcome back. Yeah, your mic is mute.
Sorry, I had a little
Uh-huh.
technical issue and I was away for a minute or so, so I did not get the question.
Okay, okay. So the question somebody was asking that like in the situation where currently like we're looking at it that microplastics is becoming like a global problem and most likely inevitable, are there some policy angles also considering now not just plastics but microplastic from like a Nigerian government perspective or Hello? Can you hear me, Ma? Oh, I think that must be network glitch again. Um, okay, apologies for that. While we wait for her, just I'll check the next question. The next question speaks about um that Nigeria is reported to having a sachet economy, and it is perhaps underreported in other African countries at this under the single-use plastic ban. What before we have Madam Formata back, Blessing, you have any thing to say about like the single-use plastic ban and the whole sachet economy underreported? Anything to share?
Um, yeah, so for the plastic ban, I think Madam Famata would have been the best position to answer
Okay,
that. I don't think the
okay.
pure water sachet was
Sorry,
part
it
of
keeps
it.
on logging me out.
Ah,
I don't know
okay.
if it's my connection.
Yes, we can hear you now, Ma. Can you hear me? Hello, Ma. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, Ma. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I guess the network. Hello, Madam Falmata. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah.
Also, while she's trying to get her internet back, I could also attempt the first question. I have been following the international negotiation for the plastic treaty, and I think one thing that I can't say is that's what the negotiation is doing. The reason why they have not come to, uh, um, consensus is because they are looking for a way that they can apply this process of reducing plastic pollution across various countries. So it has to be beneficial to every country and every region. And when they see that whatsoever process or approach or method that they are bringing forward is not going to be beneficial, like the extended producer's responsibility that you did mention, they don't come to any agreement. So we are hopeful at this point that the negotiations bring something, a framework that is going to help reduce the microplastic pollution that is already on the increase, something that's probably just like you have the Paris Agreement with countries' NDCs, something that is going to work, countries will be committed, to ensuring that they reduce plastic pollution. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Madam Falmata, thank you so much, Blessing. Can you hear me now? Hello, Ma. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I guess okay. So thank you so much, Blessing, for sharing that. Also, just to add, in my own opinion, I think microplastic is still a lot of research are still ongoing to look for a solution. So I think it's not a Nigerian thing or an African thing. I think it's a global thing that the world is still looking for a solution, because lots of what we consume, what we use are mostly microplastic vulnerable. And then about the other question regarding such an economy, even like I know there's a ban on single-use plastics, but like we still see this lack of enforcement in terms of the mindset of people, the behavior. So I think it's still a very big problem regarding plastic waste management. Hello, Madam Falmata, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
Sorry
okay.
about that.
Oh, okay.
It keeps on fluctuating.
Okay. Yeah, so there was a question and the question was about
Micro.
microplastics, which is beginning to become a global, it's already a global problem. And so the point was that it is most likely going to be inevitable. And are there some maybe policy direction for Nigeria towards maybe bringing some kind of policy legislation on that regard?
Yeah, well, we do have the policies already, as I mentioned, in plastic waste management and solid waste.
Hello, you're on mute.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I think network issues again, but we just while we wait for her. Okay, there's another question here, Blessing. And the question was about we have like we don't have like sufficient waste collection, because definitely like managing plastic, and I think one of the major problem is from like the contamination is actually from the mix, right from the point of disposal. And so if you want to have like an efficient collection, they should be separate. And the person is talking about like what can the person individually do to mitigate plastic pollution. Maybe you already have an experience, you started an organization, and it was your own initiative. So maybe in just like one or two sentences you could reply that.
Sorry, could you, and what particular question is that? I didn't get it.
Okay, so the person was speaking about plastic and the issue of like lack of separation of like waste, basically because of the lack of infrastructural facilities. And the person was asking how can they, how can they contribute to mitigating plastic? And I was saying, like, with your experience, you started an organization. So maybe perhaps you could have some one or two advice in like one or two sentences just for the,
Okay, yeah, thank you. Just to confirm, can you hear me?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, so first off is awareness. So where you have separation at source. If you're able to get households or communities to do that, you've actually solved a big problem. So where in situations where you don't have good recycling collection centers or recycling technologies, as the case may be, the household should learn about segregating their waste. Waste that are biodegradable obviously can go out with time. They'll actually be caught up in the soil, and those like plastics that are non-biodegradable. The next education you may want to offer is that of repurposing the waste. Like I did mention, during our community engagements, our processes and approach are very cost effective. So we don't need very big technologies or big waste recycling plants for communities to start engaging or to start working around waste management. So what we do is we help them understand how they can repurpose waste using the crude method within their environment and within their reach. And one of the things that I mentioned is how they transform plastic bags, for instance, into tiny threads. They just shred it into tiny threads, weave it using like crude loom, what you may call loom. It can be done. I mean, the community members can actually do that themselves, or they can get the carpenter to do it. And then just like knitting, they knit this thing into very beautiful materials where they further sew it to whatever thing they want. It's probably bags. They can make shoes out of it, and it now becomes like a finished product. So with this, they don't really need much technology or finance to be able to run their own waste management strategy. So at this point, while they are waiting for or waiting on waste infrastructure, they can on their own start with segregation at source, repurposing some of these waste. Some of these things can be reused instead of having to go to the market to buy new ones. Like the bags, for instance, you can reuse them, you can take it back to the market. I think that's one approach that is practiced in the UK. When you go to buy things, you are not given new bags. If you have to get new bags, you have to buy them. You come with your old marketing bags, the one that you have used before. So in that way, you are repurposing the plastics. That is something you can do within your reach. So you look at how some of these things are very useful. Some you can convert it from one material to the other without passing it through any form of chemical release. I think the
Yeah.
first thing is the awareness. So that awareness and that education has to go out. I don't know
Thank
if
you,
that
Blessing.
answers this question.
Yeah, thank you, Blessing. So Blessing made it very simple. Like, just don't go too technological. Just start with like the basic things you could do with your hand, and they are very much more less efficient, less energy, and like contaminating so back to Madam Falmata. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can
I
hear you now. Okay.
apologize. Yeah, you were asking about the microplastics. Well, microplastics are hidden, but they're a serious pollution issue in Nigeria because they come from breaking down plastics down in the environment, tire wear, synthetic textiles. So it's not something that you can actually pick up. So I think the approach has to be focused on prevention, monitoring, and treatment for now. I think that's the best we can do right now. Prevention at source, if possible, because in Nigeria we do not have sorting at source, which is another major issue that we're dealing with. So prevention from source, improving our waste management system, because the microplastics, it's really hard to deal with.
Mm. Wow, thank you. That was really, I think, a very straight and specific response. And this is also aligning with a comment by Adamu on the group chat, where Adamu said he has a lot of experience in recycling, and most of the time, like, safety protocols are very, like, they are not so considered in terms of, like, he spoke about, like, unknown chemicals that burst and release foul odor, billing machine accidents, where operators suffered, like, health injuries. So this is, like, pointing that there's a huge neglect in the recycling industries. And also this goes to the question somebody mentioned about, like, why isn't, safety prioritized in the recycling industry. And I think, yeah, I think beyond policies, like, there is need to, like, be, like, serious caution and serious, like you mentioned, like, penalties for these defaulters, because it is not just about their health, but it's about the health of every other person who uses that product that goes out of the recycling value chain. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. Okay. And Madam Fulmato, whenever you're exiting for your meeting, please feel free
Yeah,
to. Okay. Yeah.
I can still be here a little while longer.
Ah, awesome, awesome. Okay, yeah. So I think we have a question for Blessing. And Blessing, although you already mentioned, somebody said give us some examples of upcycling, which you already highlighted in your last statement. And the person was speaking about how do health workers, what's the health workers' consideration in recycling? And I think there's a mix up. So Blessing's recommendation of how circular business approach for plastic is about how you do these things with less, chemical contamination. So basically, you're not involving, like, lots of technologies, and so there's minimal health effects. So that is it. So you don't. I think there's less of concentration on, because you're not using, mostly their handheld skills and all of that. So maybe if that clarifies that question. But again, Blessing, somebody said you mentioned market issue for the product. Did you also find the price of the product has been an issue? Okay, now, yeah, this is a very big problem. So the person was is speaking about how do you get to make it economically viable, right? Like, do you get buyers? Because I know I had some interaction so many times with, people who sell upcycled products, and the issue is the value. It's expensive, and people don't consider it valuable. Like, you could pay a lot of millions for an artwork, but if it's like an upcycled work, people really don't give it value. What's, like, your own experience on the economic viability, just then, in 1, 2 sentences? Yeah, you're mute. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Aliyu. Just as I mentioned during my presentation, that market accessibility has been one of the major challenge with the communities that we have engaged in this program. And one way for us to address that challenge is to link them with recycling agencies who understand the market. Unfortunately, should I say, national acceptance of recycled or upcycled products from plastic waste has not been something that we've seen. For some people, they are wondering why you are making bags, from, say, pure water sachet, when they could get new bags from the market, leather bags. But I guess if the awareness go wide as to the importance of working with upcycled products, people would see themselves as contributing to environmental sustainability when they purchase some of these upcycled products. So at that point, I believe that the value for, especially the price value for these products, would increase considerably. At this point, it's more like Nigeria is trying to come into the whole um, is like being introduced to plastic upcycling and recycling, and some people are just getting to hear about it. So for now, what we have done to mitigate this issue, which is not like it's more like a temporary solution, is to link these communities with recycling agencies, because recycling agencies understand the flow of these plastic materials and how the market works. So they know how they can take this thing out to probably buyers who can probably pay good money for it. While we are still getting, still trying to get public acceptance as to why we should use upcycled products in our daily lives. Until then, of course, the challenge is still there. But yet the community people are still making not that much money, but whatever it is they are making, it's they would say in their own words that it's better than not having anything doing. Like I said, the capital, you can also look at it from this angle that the capital required to set up this, there is not, it's almost cost effective. So it's not like, oh, what's my gain? So it's like you pick waste
Yeah.
and then you turn it to something. So even if you make say $1 out of it, for them it's worthy enough because
Okay.
they didn't have to spend money to make that.
All right. Thank you so much, Blessing, for that response. So basically, I think that, and also like with much more investment, and that's why I was asking, like, okay, could EPR funding also like support more of this initiative? And some of, I think they are already doing, but maybe much more. So just to wrap it up, the point is, I think we like policies, actions, and enforcement need to look at reducing plastic from the like source. And then also in terms of the recycling facilities and infrastructure, there's need to be like much more like compliance on ensuring that the processes are like safety, like somebody mentioned, safety is highly prioritized. And then also like considering like the community part of like, plastic management in terms of like using less technologies and all of that. I think it's a holistic approach, but all of them needs to really be put seriously, because whether we like it or not, even if like plastics are banned today, those that have been produced are already a major problem which we need to address. So it's something we have to consider. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Ibrahim. Ibrahim was okay. He was making a comment about Madam Falmata's state responses here. Thank you so much. And Mr. Murtala and others who wanted to say something. Unfortunately, due to time, it wasn't possible. But I guess this has been a really fruitful conversation, and you can follow up with the speakers on their social media, and also feel free to reach out to Be Waste Wise. And I hope you had a very interesting session, and I'm really excited to have joined this conversation. Thank you, and over to you, Akanksha.
Thank you, Alu, and thank you so much for the panelists for taking time out. And I can see there are certain questions which are not being answered, and we will make sure that they are being passed on to the panel, and we will ensure that they're being answered and sent across. It is a very knowledgeable and experience, webinar that we had today, and the insights that have been shared by Blessing and by Madam Falmata has been very, very insightful. Thank you so much. And we request you all to please feel free to see the recording of the webinar in few weeks time, which will be uploaded on our YouTube channel and on our website. You want to stay updated on our future events. If you have some topics catering to Africa, some suggestions, then please do subscribe and follow us on social media and let us know which topics and which areas to be covered for Africa in the next coming calendar year. Thank you so much again, and good day to you all.
Thank